Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, Hidden Alchemy. My name is Sade. If it is your first time here, welcome. I am a wellness holistic coach focusing on mind, body, and spirit modalities to really help you transform and alchemize your life and to make sure you are moving from your greatest and highest potential. So, if it is your first time, feel free to check out my other videos on my channel, as well as my website for coaching services, my courses, and readings. I am back open for astrology readings, so feel free to book me for a reading if you need a little bit more clarity on anything going on in your chart. All right, so for today's episode, we are diving into the chaotic movie new moon that we have in the sign of Gemini. So let's go ahead and check out what's going to be happening in the stars during this week. Okay, so we have a new moon happening on June 6th, June 7th. And if you've watched any of my videos, I usually love to tell people it's not really as important the date that the new moon happens. Expect that entire week to be a new moon week or a full moon week as the energy really gets ramped up, especially if you are a person who is a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, or if you have a lot of planets in the sign of Gemini, or if your Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. You can really expect to feel this energy before the exact date of the new moon. So just give yourself the week. And whenever we're dealing with a new moon is just like the word, it is a new opportunity, a brand new opportunity, a brand new moment in that sign where we can plant seeds of intention pertaining to the area where you have that sign in your chart. Now, the difference between this new moon in Gemini as opposed to the new moon that we have in Gemini every year is we have the great benefic Jupiter meeting this new moon, making positive sign aspects to Pluto, as well as the North Node and the South Node, which is in the sign of Aries and Libra. So this new moon, it's not just a regular new moon in Gemini. It has so much support of direction and expansion and where we really want to go towards our dreams, towards our goals, and towards what's going to help us in the future, especially because the sign Gemini makes a sextile to the sign Aries and a trine to the sign of Libra. So this is a really positive week, a really positive month of June, I would say, especially if you have your Jupiter return in the sign of Gemini. Now, the thing about this week and the thing about Gemini energy in general, and if you don't really understand Gemini energy, go ahead, check out my full video on understanding the archetype of Gemini, just so you know what this week and month of June is really going to be bringing. Gemini rules duality. It's the first air sign. It's masculine in nature. So it's really just about initiating movement, initiating action, and most importantly, connection. Gemini is about the twins, right? Finding your other half, your other person. If you are a person who practices tarot, you know that it's the lover's card, right? So Gemini is really here to push us to connect to new groups, new people, new ideas, just to broaden and expand our mind, our knowledge. And because Gemini is the first air, it is very quick, it is very fast, it is very fleeting, and it's not grounding energy. It's not like Taurus, which is a fixed sign, right? Gemini is here one moment and gone the next. Jack of all trades, master of none. So whenever you're dealing with Gemini energy, you really want to be so present because it's an opportunity that can come quickly and it can leave quickly. And you also want to be very flexible. Gemini is a mutable sign. So it's all about being able to adjust and adapt to the changes and not feeling so fixed on one way of doing anything. Gemini is really here to push us to switch things up, to have a little bit of fun, to get outside of our comfort zone, and to expand our knowledge on topics. So with this new moon week, because we have the sun, Gemini, as well as Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter all in the sign of Gemini, expect it to be a pretty busy week. And just because it's busy doesn't mean it's bad. But it does mean that you should prioritize more grounding for the week, more rest for the week. Gemini rules the lungs. And it's so interesting because here in New York, we've had so much pollen since Gemini season has really started. and everyone is sniffling, everyone is coughing, everyone is just clearing out the lungs so that we can really, and of course, any viruses that is going on in the body, so that we can really just expand our horizons into summer and just have a fresh start. And that's another side note. This Gemini new moon is the last new moon before summer solstice. So it is really pushing us out there to start connecting, start going out, start hanging out, start meeting people, and really just start taking action on the ideas that we have and connecting with those people that can really help us with those ideas. So expect this week to be pretty busy, pretty chaotic, and very fast and very quick. And whenever things are very fast and very quick, especially when you're dealing with flighty air energy, you want to protect your physical body and you want to protect your mind. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury, and Mercury will be in the sign of Gemini, which makes it even more exciting of a time because there's going to be so much mental stimulation and so many ways to connect the dots between different ideas that you have. I would definitely advise for this week, keep 1 to 2 important priorities on your list per day and allow the day to take its shape and take its place. Because again, whenever you're dealing with Gemini, you're dealing with flighty, you're dealing with quick, you're dealing with changes and really needing to be mutable. And you're not going to be the only one experiencing this Gemini energy. The collective is experiencing all of these planets in Gemini as well. Now, another important thing to realize about Gemini rules social media. Because we have so many planets in the sign of Gemini, heavy Gemini energy, making beautiful aspects again to the North Node and South Node, as well as Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius also rules technology. Gemini rules social media, how we connect. You might want to take a break from social media. I know I'm definitely going to take that advice for myself. Take a bit of a break from social media. There's so much happening in the world. There's so many thoughts and feelings and emotions that we're going through as a collective. And social media can be a beautiful tool of connecting, but also a tool of distraction. And that is something that Gemini energy, people who have a lot of Gemini energy have to work on, is that monkey brain of so many ideas, multitasking, reading different things, having 700 tabs open. And with everything that's going on in the collective right now and everything that's going on in the stars, it might be a good idea to kind of just take a step back from social media just for a moment, or scroll for a little bit in the morning, scroll for a little bit in the afternoon or the evening, but don't spend as much time getting overstimulated by outside information, because you're already going to be stimulated by information within your eyes view, what's going on in your life in front of you. So taking a break from social media can be a really good idea. Focusing on reading, anything that can ground the mind, because a lot is going to be happening and there's going to be a lot of connection because we're moving into that summer season. Now, another thing that's going to be very, very important about this new moon, I would say most important outside of these many planets in the sign of Gemini, is this moon is going to square Saturn, which is in Pisces. Now, very similar to my full moon in Sagittarius video, because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter, just like Sagittarius. Pisces is just water, Sag is just fire. And with this square to Saturn, there's going to be a bit of boundaries, restrictions, and resistance. And the more distracted you become with this Gemini energy, the more flighty you become, the more quick in movement and action and speech. Okay, speech is going to be very important because Mercury is in the sign of Gemini. You want to be mindful of where the universe is giving you those slight messages of slow down. Because what can happen is with a square to Saturn, you haven't been listening to those messages to slow down. And now Saturn is like, okay, I got to show you in a big major way that you need to slow down. And sometimes that can be through my situation last week during the full moon, getting a sinus infection and really being like, okay, let me sit down for this weekend. Let me rest. Let me focus on drinking my water. Let me, preserve my energy. Or if you're in quick movement, it can be through an injury. It can even be because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces also rules the way that we are in relationship with people and the way that we are giving to others in our community. It could be restrictions from outside sources. It could be restrictions from your network. It could be restrictions from your friend group, depending on where you have Pisces in your chart. So with this square to Saturn, I would definitely say do not bite off more than you can chew. Give yourself 1 to 2 things to really prioritize in the day on top of rest and on top of sleep, and then allow the day to take its shape. Because with this square to Saturn, all those planets will have to square Saturn at some point. So Jupiter has time to square Saturn, but the moon will square, the sun will square, Mercury will square. Venus is also in the sign of Gemini. So Venus ruling on how we are in relation with people, Mercury ruling how we speak and communicate with people, making a square to Saturn could be authority figures as well. So just be mindful of the week that we have this new moon and just take it very easy because it will be a very stimulating time. However, nonetheless, this is a great, great time to jot down all those ideas. Keep a small journal with you throughout this week of the Gemini new moon, because there will be so many ideas. There'll be so many aha moments, especially when this moon is making a very beautiful aspect to Pluto in Aquarius, because this can be a new opportunity to meet a new group of people that can guide you in the direction that you want to move towards wherever you have Gemini in your chart. So great week to connect ideas, great week to get that momentum going before we really get into the peak of the summer solstice, and a great opportunity to try something new, try a new hobby, switch things up, change your fashion, change your look, maybe hang out with a group of people that you normally wouldn't have hung out with. And because you chose to hang out with them, now you're learning something new in a brand new way than you ever had before. So much optimism when we're working with Gemini energy, so much opportunity to connect, to grow. Because the thing about Gemini is, because it's so movie and it gets things moving right after fixed Taurus, with movement comes growth, comes evolution, comes expansion. So allow yourself to expand, allow yourself to grow, but do not bite off more you can chew, because if Saturn gets in the mix, it's going to be a big problem. All right, everyone, please feel free to let me know how you have been feeling with this Gemini new moon energy. Like, comment, and subscribe so I can continue to make these videos. And if you have any questions, always feel free to hit me up on my website, Hidden Alchemy by Sade. All the information will be in the box below. All right, everyone, happy new moon, and I will see you for my next video.